Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Prime Talk. Today, I'm excited to have a special guest. Today, I'm having Al Lopez. Al is the Director of Business Development at e-Comas. E-Comas is a global e-commerce marketplace agency based out of Luxembourg, Europe, which is, I assume, a beautiful, gorgeous, wealthy place. So, Al, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Yoni. Nice to be here with you. It is wealthy. I just need to get more of that wealth. You know what I mean? That's all. I don't have a
trying to,
lot of.
yeah, trying to rub from the dust of the wealthy.
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
think Amazon might be even listed in Luxembourg in Europe because it's like almost like the tax
yeah,
haven.
yeah, yeah.
It's
It's a
very, very
headquarter.
relaxed.
Yeah, it's a
It's a
headquarter
head
of
for
Amazon Europe. Yeah,
yeah. It's much like the state of Delaware here in the States, where a lot of
yeah.
corporations based there just to get that tax benefits. But in any case, that's a different story for a different time. Today's episode is really going to be the episode of Al Lopez. The story of Al Lopez. So you're going to share with us who are you, where are you from, where were you born, where'd you grow up, how'd you enter the professional world station by
Yeah.
station until we
Great,
get to where we are now. So without further ado, let's jump right into it.
great. I just told you don't fall asleep on me, and I'm happy to go into as many details as you need.
All right, go ahead. I'm excited. It's the unknown. We just met, just for full
Yeah.
disclosure, first time we kind of meet, and this is for me a pleasure cruise when I get to meet new people,
Cool.
learn about them, learn new things, and
Yeah.
just really it's my pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Yoni. Likewise, I actually love the platform you've built. I've watched a couple of your episodes, and honestly, you've done a really good job. I think it's really special what you're doing with the platform with Katita. The software itself is great, and then as well giving more insights into really key figures in the industry. It's really cool.
Appreciate it. All right, let's get started. Al, go ahead, take us in.
Yeah. So my full name is Alvaro. If for those who can speak Spanish, Yoni, I think you can speak some Spanish, right?
Yes, I do.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Entonces,
Yeah.
let's twist the Spanish just for a second. ¿Dónde
Yeah.
naciste? ¿Por qué hablas español? ¿De dónde sus parientes?
Sí. Mis padres son peruanos. Yo también nací en Lima.
Sí,
O sea,
y yo fui en Lima, Miraflores y todo lado, polvos azules.
¿En serio?
Sí,
Sí.
sí.
Bueno, de hecho tengo una marca privada de Miraflores que se llama Cali Calle Organic. Es un nombre quechua de Perú.
Sí, tu
Pero
familia.
yo nací en Miraflores, de hecho, en el
Sí,
Hospital
sí,
Good Hope.
sí.
Así
Wow,
que, qué
muy lindo,
bacán.
muy
We'll go
lindo, sí.
back to English for the
Okay, let's go
audience.
back to so yeah, take us in English now. Sorry about that.
Yeah, so I was born in Lima, in Peru.
Nice.
So, yeah, child of immigrants. I went to, I actually grew up almost my entire life, childhood, I should say, in Washington, D.C., so just outside of D.C.
Yeah, hold on. So you were born in Lima, Miraflores. It's a nice neighborhood in the capital of Peru, which I was mentioning to him in Spanish that I have visited and been there and had a great time. But what age were you when you left Peru, and what was the circumstances for you guys leaving?
Yeah, so I was 6 years old. I was born in '92, so I'm not 30 yet. So I'm like, I tell people I'm in my late 20s. I still have some life to enjoy. I'm just kidding. It's a joke for everyone above 30. But yeah,
I'm
so
36, but I'm having a blast. So hopefully
you look young
you'll
though. That's the
follow.
important thing. Yeah, that's the important thing.
Thank you.
No, but I don't know if you know much about the geopolitics of if the '80s in Peru, but Shining Path was a far left insurgency in Peru that really took a toll on a lot of, especially the economy of Peru. And so there's a lot of repercussions for individuals working for, let's say, Western companies. And my dad was one of those. So,
Which company did it work for? Is something that we
so
know
my,
of?
so my dad worked for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or otherwise known as
Uh-huh.
the Mormons.
Wow.
So yeah, a lot of dramatic novelas that occurred in the '80s and early '90s. But it was pretty clear for him that so I'm one of six kids. For a better life for him, he wanted to apply for a visa and get to the U.S. I'm really grateful for the sacrifices he made. So it took obviously a while to process those visas, and so we got to DC.
So this
Um,
was so you're born 92 and around 98. That's when you guys immigrated and then transferred it to Washington D.C. area.
yeah, exactly. Actually, so just outside New Jersey, where we flew into, I remember it's really crazy because one of my first memories is actually seeing the New York skyline as we were flying into JFK International. It's kind of dramatic. I'm
Yeah,
not that
it's
dramatic.
no, you're right because that's kind of the new the modern way of the American dream. It used to be in the old days through the boat, through Statue of Liberty. Today you
Yeah,
kind of see that from far away, but between all the breathtaking skyline of New York, it can be overwhelming for somebody coming from almost any country, unless you're really from Hong Kong or something, a city that has like a breathtaking skyline.
Yeah. And
But yeah,
even then, New York is like such the epicenter of the US, you know what I mean? So it was
I
really
do believe,
expensive.
I still strongly believe it's not only kind of the capital of U.S. business, but also the capital of the world, economy and the world business, and Wall Street,
Yeah,
financial markets, the UN, United Nations, a lot of things going on.
I totally agree. And yeah, and it was great. We moved in 90. Actually, my dad had come a year before, more or less to prepare for the family. It's not easy to immigrate with 6 kids.
Hmm.
So he had come in 97. So after a year of not seeing my dad, we finally met in New York, and then took a little road trip down to DC. And so I grew up in just outside of the urban area of DC. It's a city called Silver Spring. I don't know if you're familiar with it,
I
Montgomery
think it's
County.
technically in Maryland, no?
Yep, exactly. Yeah,
So yeah, I had
Montgomery
Alex
County.
Sklar. He was born there. He's from Payability. I interviewed him yesterday, but
Ah,
when he was
cool.
2 years old, already shifted back to New York area.
Small world, man. It's a small world. Yeah, so Silver Spring is. I really enjoyed my childhood. It's a very diverse area. A lot of people in a very small geographical location. But yeah, so I grew up. We moved when I was in middle school to Rockville, just north of Silver Spring. That's really where I went through high school. And then when I was in my college years, I studied in Utah, at Utah State University, just on the border with Idaho.
Hold on. So
Um,
let me ask you about Utah, because I believe there might be a Mormon connection there, because you guys seem to be
yeah,
Mormons,
so
right?
exactly.
And you had that history of at least your father working, at a church, a Mormon church in Peru, and you went to Utah. Was that one of a common thread there? The fact that was it's a kind of a very
Yeah,
big
yeah,
Mormon community there.
yeah, precisely. I had some siblings that were studying at BYU, and so I already had some family out there.
Living.
Um,
Sorry, what's the name of the school? What's the acronym?
So I went to Utah State, which
Uh
is on the border with Idaho, just up north. It's really cold. If anyone
huh.
likes skiing, you should go there. I was born to meet up Flores, which you know of, which is like it never gets colder than like 40 degrees Fahrenheit.
Right.
Logan is like the average is like negative 10 degrees.
Right.
Um, but it's a really good school. My siblings were at BYU though, which is the
What's
Mormon.
BYU? What's that? What's the acronym for that? BYU, you said?
Brigham Young University.
Birmingham Young University. Birmingham Young is a famous Mormon figure, right?
Yeah, it's a private Mormon school. It's pretty renowned. That's like where the Mitt Romneys went, the Huntsmans, like
Oh
all the
wow,
prominent Mormons go there.
gotcha.
So they were there. I had a connection out there. So I'm no longer practicing Mormon, but I grew up Mormon, love the community. I moved out there. It was a really good time. And as you know, Salt Lake is more or less like the mini Silicon Valley. They call it Silicon Slopes. So a
Hmm.
huge economy out there. A lot of unicorn companies out of there. It's like I think it's the second fastest growing economy after
Wow.
Houston in the U.S. So shout out to Salt Lake. And it's a really cool city if you ever
I
get a
hear
chance to
great
go.
things. Never got a chance yet. I'm really looking forward. Hopefully after the pandemic. I never skied also, so I gotta do
You gotta go, yeah.
I gotta check two things: the city, but also the ski scenery.
Yeah. Yeah, skiing's not my thing. I always tease people. It's like there's two things to do in Utah, and it's like be Mormon or ski, and I suck
Do
at
you
both.
do you
So
surf
it's
at
like,
all? Because I know Lima. There's a surfing scene over there. There's a beach. It's
yeah,
pretty much a beach town, especially in the summer.
I think surfing's really fun. I suck at it, unfortunately, but yeah, I do a little bit of like just like as for fun, nothing good.
Yeah,
But
for the
yeah,
soul,
you're
not for
right.
the yeah.
I think the longest wave break in the world is in Peru, like close to Arequipa.
Yeah, yeah. There's a whole scene of surfing in Peru, a whole
Yeah.
culture there. As far as I know, and seen a few shows. All right, so take us to the year where I guess you two things. What do you major in college, and when do you graduate? Which year?
Yeah, so I studied in college to actually work in the State Department. So I studied international or foreign diplomacy is the best way to describe it, really.
Hmm.
So part of that program, before I finished school, I served a Mormon mission. And so that's really where I grew a passion for international relations. And
So what's the Mormon mission? Touch about that a little bit, just to broaden our horizons. What is that
yeah,
exactly?
so a Mormon mission is really like let's say like a 2-year path of, like, I don't want to say acceptance, but it's really like the commonly, um, like the main service mission all Mormons should do if they want to advance like in their church position.
But
So
acceptance, who? Who's supposed to accept what? When you say acceptance?
yeah, like within the body of the membership, like every person who is a Mormon looks at a mission like the 2-year event, because it's 2 years, right, where you're giving up your entire life. There's no communication to your family. You fund your own. It's
Really?
just
Well,
to move
okay.
you
So
out.
take us back. I thought this is deeper
Yeah,
than I thought. I thought that you
yeah.
just get here's a mission soldier, 2 years,
No,
go
yeah,
assassinate somebody or go build something or whatever the mission is. Like
yeah. There's
soldiers,
these
like in the army.
Mormons.
But you're saying this is a whole different thing. So Mormons, they have a track where it's a 2-year track, or when they call it a mission, right? And you're not,
Yeah,
you can't communicate with your family. What is that about?
exactly. In fact, I think today the guidelines have changed. So I started my mission almost 10 years ago, but
Hmm.
back then you can only talk to your family twice a year on Mother's Day and Christmas. So basically, the LDS Church, or the Mormon Church, they assign, if you decide to go on a mission, you apply, and then they assign you a location precisely, right? A country or a city that you're going to serve in for 2 years, and those 2 years are dedicated for what they call preaching the gospel. So basically, just trying to evangelize individuals to convert to Mormonism. So I did mine in Denver, Colorado, and my brother did his in Chicago. I had a sister that did hers in Spokane.
What's the years you did in Denver? The 2 years you did there. What were the actual years? This is 2000 something.
That was in 2011, 2013. And so I served a Spanish speaking mission, which is like the Mormons are famous for like those. Usually it's two white guys in suits and a little name tag.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's the service mission I'm referring to. And
Got
so
it.
they're famous because so a missionary will get assigned a location and a language for 2 years.
Mm.
And so they're all over the world. I served mine Spanish speaking in Denver. So a lot of my projects were.
So essentially serving the Latino community in
Yep,
Denver, Colorado, yeah?
yep,
With
exactly.
your Mormon mission. How'd it go?
It was really fun. I had a really good time. It taught me a lot about like being a principled person, being disciplined. I really think that like between the gap of like high school and finishing your college degree, you really should have at least a year of dedication to something bigger than yourself, right?
I totally agree with that. Yeah, something that is really not focused or centralized on you. It's centralized on a mission, a purpose that is
Yeah,
larger, wider,
yeah, yeah,
impactful, and deeper, and
yeah.
builds character. I find it a little bit similar to what from my background in Israel. When you turn 18, instead of going to college, everybody goes to the army.
IDF,
Men,
right?
yeah, the IDF, Israeli Defense Forces, or whether it be men or women. Women go serve 2 years, and the men they serve 3 years. And service. He's serving a bigger, higher purpose, and it
Yeah,
builds a lot of character. Obviously, we have the region also has its geopolitics. I guess just like Peru had back in the day, and there's real wars and combat involved. But I strongly support that ability. It builds character to people in a way where they become less selfish, more humble, and they know how to really have a mission, accomplish missions or projects or things that are larger or longer, more complex, and
totally,
they,
totally.
they require
Yeah,
collaboration. So you had your own taste of sample of that kind of configuration
yeah.
with
I totally agree. When I was in Tel Aviv, as I was in Tel Aviv a couple of years ago, and it was an amazing trip, and going through Jerusalem and into Palestine as well. And I agree, and just having a time period. Because if I'm not mistaken, I'm not a medical expert, but I don't think your brain fully develops until you're 25 years old or something like that,
Mhm.
26. I think for males and like 24 for females.
Got it.
Um, and so I think you really need to have a time period where you really learn how to do things for others and really have a perspective as to just basically not be selfish, let's say. And
Yeah.
so obviously I'm no longer a practicing Mormon, but it was really a really good experience because as a Mormon missionary, you're spending 2 years where every single day, I'm not kidding, there's no holiday, there's no vacation. Every single day you're waking up with the mindset of how am I going to serve others?
Wow. That's
And
strong.
so
It's
that,
powerful. It's good.
yeah, it was a really good experience. And some of my closest friends today come from that experience. And so,
Okay, so you did
um,
that between 2011 and 2013 in the
yep,
Denver, Colorado, the Latino community.
yep. I came
Um,
back and immediately a year after, in the midst, I think it was my third year of my undergrad, I did a internship in Spain, in La Rioja.
wow.
Um,
What's it called, the city?
so the city is Logroño, which is the capital of La Rioja. Rioja
La
is,
Roja, red?
so I think it's an element related to red, but Rioja, not
Rioja.
Roja.
How do you
Yeah,
spell that?
Rioja, Rioja. It's a
Ah,
famous
Rioja. Got it.
wine
Got it.
region. So it's
Got
like
it.
it's the wine. It's basically the Napa Valley of Spain.
Nice.
It
And
was
what
a
was the
really, really
context? It was was it part of your school, the studying, the learning?
exactly, yeah. Because like I was saying, I studied foreign diplomacy, and so you had to
Right.
do 1 year abroad, and so I did mine in Spain. And it was a really, really good time. I lived with a Spanish family out there, and that's where I met my now wife, who's Swiss German. I
Oh
should say, I
wow.
put
What was
more
she doing
emphasis
there?
on
What was she
as
doing there?
well, like studying something with Germany. She was studying Spanish and finalizing, her master's degree in Spain. And so we met there, we were friends for a long time. You would never expect a like Latino in America to hook up with like a German, like very organized, very pragmatic woman.
Very structured, yeah.
Yeah, I feel very lucky. But it's where we met. And so that's more or less my route to Europe, where I'm at today, with Annabelle is her name. I went back to Utah to finish my undergrad. And again, shout out to Logan, Utah is what I should say, because it was a really good experience at Utah State. And when I finished my degree, I took the decision to go out to Germany, because my wife, and now at that time wasn't my wife, but she had accepted a job in Switzerland.
So hold on. So when you're in Spain, essentially love came knocking at your door and swept you into the world of Europe, right? So you finished your degree in the States, and then you were compelled to go to Europe and, develop, the relationship with your now wife, Isabella, you said?
Yeah, Annabelle. Yeah,
Annabelle, sorry.
yeah,
Annabelle?
it's Annabelle,
All
yeah.
right.
Um,
And okay, so what year did you move to, you said you moved to Germany?
in 2016, so it's been almost 5 years I moved out here.
Guys, so hold on. What was the school years that you did? How long were you in school?
So I started in 2010, right, and then I had a 2-year pause, and I finished in 2016, so right after my undergrad.
Wow, so this is about 6 years of commitment, because you did this with the structure of the Mormon faith. So so the track, instead of having 3-4 years of college, it's more like 6 years, because in between you do the mission, and then you were also in this international the diplomacy route. So you did another year in Spain, and then you have the actual 3 years where you gotta actually learn all these subjects and get your degree and all the credits, and get your degree. So wow, that's pretty intensive. 6 years, 2010, 2016. All right, so 2016, you pack up your belongings, you move to Germany.
Yeah. So we're exactly where we live today, in Lörrach. It's the name of the city.
And how do you spell that?
LO with the umlaut, with the two little dots.
Okay.
O, RRACH, Lörrach.
RRACH, Lorach, got it. Okay.
It's a small city about 10 minutes outside of Basel, Switzerland. And so Basel is just on the border with France and Germany, and Switzerland, and about an hour west of Zurich, should say.
So this is the Basel, Zurich area of Switzerland. So you guys are like a satellite, nevertheless on the German side of things.
Exactly, yeah. And so I work distant, because we'll get to e-Comas eventually, but e-Comas is in Luxembourg, and I work, especially with Zoom now, like we can work from anywhere, but
Right.
I'm just a couple hours drive away from work. Basel's a really nice city. If you guys ever get a chance, you'll have to come out. You can swim on the Rhine River. There's loads of activities to do. It's called, Basel is more or less like the art capital of Switzerland. There's a lot of really fun museums, a lot of really big companies out here, Novartis, Roche, with their headquarters out here. So it's a really fun city, because there's a lot of expats, a lot of different languages. It's a nice.
It's cosmopolitic. Yeah, I love Switzerland. I love the fresh air, the landscape. It's full disclosure, I mentioned to you this earlier. My sister-in-law, she lives in Geneva. I was really impressed by it when I went to visit Switzerland, and I think it's a great place to do business, to live, and just good vibes all around.
Yeah. We have a lot of family members out in Switzerland from Annabelle, but we're on the German side.
But technically, Annabelle is she's a German, or she's a Swiss, and not living in Germany.
Yeah, so German with Swiss roots, I guess, is the best way to put it. Because
Got it,
in the area here, if anyone wants to get carried away in some Wikipedia reading, you just look up the Alemannisch people, and that's what basically Lörrach is, the capital of the Alemannisch people.
So Alemannisch means Alman means Germany, right? The German people. Almania.
So it's funny, you speak Spanish, so like Germany in Spanish is Alemania.
Right.
And in French is Allemand, right? And
But in Hebrew, it's actually we say Germania, for example. Also, I think in
exactly,
Russian
yeah.
they say that. So that's also a lot of people say German or Germany.
So yeah,
So
Germany,
what's
like in
that about?
Spain or in France, like Germany used to be a lot of different kingdoms and different empires. And at one point they unified, including the, the Alemannish region,
This
which,
happened more, during or after the Prussian Empire, right? That's when they kind of
yeah, I think,
consolidated things after, they had
yeah,
clans and wars and kingdoms or whatever, and then
yeah,
kind of after the Prussian Empire, they kind of configured themselves as German, and then we have other more darker moments, but that's beside the point.
yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, but I think 1871 is when Germany decided to unify. And so
Gotcha.
they brought in, so I live in Baden-Württemberg, right? The region, even though we're right next to Basel, that's where a lot of the influence of this city is out of. That's why it's kind of special, because a lot of the influence is from Switzerland, even though we're in Germany.
Right.
The capital of my state is actually in Stuttgart, right? Which
Stuttgart.
is,
Stuttgart. That's a Mercedes Benz.
yeah,
Kind of.
Mercedes, Porsche.
Hmm.
I'm not sure if Mercedes, but I know Porsche for a fact. Probably Mercedes too.
Yeah.
A lot of different companies like Philips and whatnot.
Hmm.
So
Gotcha.
Baden-Württemberg and Bavaria are like the economic hubs of Germany, basically.
Got it. I hear also good things about Germany. From my parents, I haven't visited there, but they said also very, very impressive. Okay, so now let's, you land in Germany, and what do you do? I mean, okay, love brought you there, but
Yeah,
professionally, what do you
so
do? What are you about?
out of college, yeah, one of my good friends while I was in school, I was working, and one of my good friends from that network, he was launching a business, an Amazon agency out of there, and they saw a huge opportunity in providing services, right, to European consumers, because Amazon USA is a really strong e-commerce platform. A lot of consumers are familiar with it. Where in Europe at that time, there was still a lot of room to grow, and so they knew me in their network, and they asked if I was interested in leading out their European development side. And so since I was moving out there anyway, I accepted. And that's really where I started my work experience. Really started there, in helping businesses
So you're
in
telling me that
Europe.
the e-commerce community came knocking on your door, uh, at in Switzerland slash Germany, out of all places, coming actually from Utah area,
Yeah,
where I know
exactly.
that
Yeah,
there's really strong presence of large established Amazon sellers. It didn't
yeah,
happen there. It happened more on the European side.
yeah. The
And
company today is known as Buy Box Experts. I don't know if you interviewed anyone from Buy
not
Box
yet, but
Experts.
yeah, we're in, yeah, James Thompson, yeah, is a
Yep,
legend in
yeah,
the
he's the
field.
CEO today. So, I
Oh, so
at
you
the
work for Buybox
time,
Expert? That's what happened?
so they got bought out by Buy Box Experts. At the time, it was Nozani. I was
Oh,
really,
you work for Nozani. I know them as well, for
yeah,
Thaddeus, right?
yeah. Thaddeus, hey, yeah, he's a good friend. Shout out to Thad. He's a really good guy.
Mhm.
Um,
Okay,
so I,
so hold on. Let me get this straight. So you land in Germany, and then you connect with your friend. And who's your friend from Nozani, which is an American agency, but they want to develop I guess, the European marketplace on the Amazon side, right?
yeah, so Stat, hey, Kyle,
And you're,
Scott. So,
they were friends from where? From school, from the region, from the
yep,
community?
exactly. Yeah, from school and the network that I had in Utah. So as you know,
Nice.
like the Mormon community, a lot of people know each other
Yeah, it's
in
very,
Utah.
very tight knit. Yeah, in a good way. Okay, wow. Okay, that puts things into perspective. So you're with Nozani, very successful, Amazon e-commerce agency that eventually got bought out by Buybox Experts, which is probably one of the largest, if not the largest, Amazon
Yeah,
agencies in
I
the
think
world. They're doing
today in
amazing
North
things.
America, for sure, they're the biggest.
Yeah,
Like in
they're
production.
they play on the highest level of performance, so they do great things. So okay, you start working with them 2016. What would you what did you do for them, and how long did you stay there in that
I,
position?
I led the European development. Like I think ended up bringing 20 like customers from 21 different countries here in Europe and Israel. Like I have a very close connection with a lot of people in Israel.
So
It's been great.
you worked for companies in Israel. Any of them worth mentioning that you can
Sure.
drop a name?
So I do a lot of projects in collaboration with Mark Silverstein, who was the founder of Infantino, very close partner. I really enjoy working with him. I've done some collaboration with other projects from Israel directly, such as Noah Gold from Just Sip It. She's very talented in what she does. Yeah, a lot of different businesses out of Israel I've worked with in the past. Just
Nice.
trying to think of like, who am I allowed to say without
I
disclosing?
got you. I got you. Yeah, no worries. I know. I don't want to take you there. No worries.
Yeah,
Keep you in the
but
comfort zone.
yeah, but so that was really fun because at that stage, Nozani was very much in the startup phase. Um, but it really allowed me to see the opportunity of how big that e-commerce community was. Especially, of course, Amazon itself is a massive community for brands to grow in. But more importantly, being in Europe, one comes to understand like, okay, Amazon is a key player and it's probably the largest, right? Especially in Germany and France and Spain and other countries. But there's also a lot of other e-commerce platforms. And so Amazon being that really that robust e-commerce beast, inevitably trying to help brands grow on Amazon leads you to understand that there's not just one platform you need to be good at. There's a lot of different e-commerce platforms. And so
just to simplify, so your mission is, once again, there's a mission to recruit into the e-commerce faith, right? All these brands, right? All these brands saying, hey, there's the truth is in the e-commerce, in the e-commerce space, there's opportunity, it's to achieve greatness, to grow, all that stuff. So you're pitching Amazon, you're pitching other platforms, but when you're pitching, but you're mostly pitching on platforms that are European related or worldwide.
Yeah, so at the time it was strictly Amazon at the time. Yeah,
Amazon US or Amazon Europe or any Amazon type?
Yeah.
Both.
It ended up being, of course, that it was a lot of European businesses wanting to launch in USA, right? Amazon.
That makes sense. Yeah, it makes total sense.
Right. So that was really the first couple of years in working with Nozani that I was really there at the root of their international expansion. And of course, today they're quite strong in the US. And of course, that more or less leads to e-Comas as to why I stayed here, because of my decision to stay in Europe geographically rather than going back to Salt Lake City.
Got it. So let's touch on that. So 2016 until which year would you stay there? What was the next station for you after Nozani?
In 2019, there was a lot of changes at Nozani, obviously with really significant transitions into buy box, which were really good for the business. They wanted to bring things in house there. In those experiences, I had a lot of different conversations with the agencies, of course, that we were partnering with in Europe, and me being here on the ground. I ended up meeting Jerome, right, the CEO of e-Comas today, Jerome de Guigné, who's the founder of e-Comas. And so before I made a decision to move back to, basically I had two options, like move to Salt Lake, continue to work with Thad and the team. They were really talented guys I really enjoyed working with, or enjoy the life that we had here. I'm not complaining about living in Basel. It's not a bad life, right?
Yeah, you're doing both options are phenomenal in my opinion. But
yeah, and so
best of both worlds. Just what's your pleasure? Is it cake or ice cream?
Yeah. But that's more or less the root of where e-Comas. Because when I first met Jerome, it was a very, very small agency.
What was the context of you guys meeting or connecting?
So we had already known each other from the network, right? When I was leading Nozani's team in Europe. I had in my network, I reached out to him to see if he was interested in growing because I had a lot of experience in the industry. So we actually met in Geneva, and that's really the root of where e-Comas today is. We had met, it was a 3-person operation at the time. Today, we're just under 50 employees globally.
50 or 15?
What's that?
50 or 15? 15 or 50?
50, yeah.
50. Wow. So you have a global team of 50 plus members, yeah?
Yeah, of course, COVID has a lot to do with that, of course, with the digitalization or the
for sure.
expedition of a lot of different transformations.
So, wow, you guys grew more than 10 times from a team of 3 to over 50. It's almost 20 times. That's pretty impressive in a time frame of less than 2 years.
It's a tumultuous time for a lot of people in the world, but we're super grateful for the business growth. But nevertheless, our focus at e-Comas really is exactly that. As a Luxembourgish company, of course, a lot of our clients are European, but we work with global clients to help them ultimately just maximize their digital shelf performance. Whether it be in Europe or we speak, all the European languages, we understand the VAT, the logistics challenges of Europe, as you can imagine by now.
It can get intricate, and now Brexit has gave another curveball into the mix.
Yeah, the British left us, and it's sad. They dumped us.
It's funny because you're an American in Europe saying the British dumped us, and you kind of sad about it. 250 years ago, us Americans were fighting for the independence from the British. So just leave, just leave and let us have our independence. So it's kind of.
I always tease because basically, if America had never got their independence, we would just be Canada. You know what I mean? So I always say
under Her Royal Highness. Yeah, I mean, they pay tribute or taxes or something to the Queen. I know Canada. There's it's a Commonwealth or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so 2019, you meet Jerome in Geneva. You guys click, and you are also very compelled to stay in the European scene because you were there with your love, but at some point you guys got engaged, got married. Well, just on that point, what was the for you and your wife? What was the trajectory there? Just for
Yeah,
context
so
reasons.
yeah, we got engaged a few years back, and actually we're supposed to have our official wedding this last year, and then COVID hit. So we're legally married, of course,
Right.
but we never had our wedding celebration. Left to be determined, right? We're waiting on.
Got it. Got it. Okay, good. Something to look forward to. But at the point of junction of 2019, you guys already married, or thinking about getting married?
Yeah, we had just gotten married officially. Yeah.
Okay, so obviously it's hard to pack up and go back to the States. And what, just for context reason, what is she doing? What is she up to?
Yeah, so Annabelle works actually in another growing industry in telemedicine, right? So basically online medicine.
Mhm.
She works for a Swiss company that does exclusively at the moment. They're only serving Swiss consumers, but they're expanding into other marketplaces. And so
Right. So
online,
so she's involved in her professional career of her own, developing her own tracks, and uplifting all that and moving. That was a major decision.
yeah,
You decided
yeah,
said that you
yeah,
guys decided as a team, right, as a family, to the opportunity
yeah.
came knocking in the format of e-commerce, and she's still in her professional track with
Yeah,
telemedicine.
she's a grinder. Very lucky to have her. I pretend to be smart. She's actually smart, right? And so she's a great asset for her company, and um, the company is obviously with COVID as well. A lot of things have digitalized, and so they've seen a
So hold
lot of.
on, she went into that industry before COVID hit, or because COVID hit?
Yeah, exactly. She had already. Remember, I told you we had moved back because she just got a job in Switzerland. That was in 2017, I want to say.
So she was in telemedicine before the COVID, and now it's exploding. So she was the
Yep,
right place at the
exactly.
right time. Wow,
Yeah.
that's
So naturally, there's been a lot of competition rise in her industry, just like ours, right? There's
yeah,
been a
sure.
lot
It's
of.
highly competitive. Nevertheless, it's growing because there's there's a necessity for this. It's really important to have these kind of solutions to people to get telemedicine. It's humongous. I think it's a great thing for humanity. Also, you can have the best doctors, the best
That's a really
minds
good point. Yeah,
testing you, fraction of the cost on a global everywhere in the world. I think it's great. It's going to deliver good news for all of us. Um,
I agree.
okay, so 2019, you met with Jerome. You said I'm in. And what do you start doing for e-commerce? Well, first day at work or first
It's a little bit
90
of
days at work?
everything, right? And like, because we're such a small company, and so more like the company was established in 2013, so it's not like it had nothing underground, but it was a very small, basically Amazon boutique agency for European companies, some Japanese companies, some North American companies. And I said, look, I've had this experience working with Nozani where we saw, exponential amount of growth in 2 years, right? I mean, you're talking more than 10x, right? And I
Right.
said, if we can emulate some of that in Europe, I feel like we can grow together. So we committed to a structure or a strategy, I should say. That was the end of 2019, second quarter or second half of 2019. And yeah, basically following the wave and the trend of e-commerce, we've been really grateful and really lucky, right? But from that moment, without going into a super long story, like a short thesis,
Right.
is we've seen significant growth. So we offer two core services, right? Well, one
Mhm.
is consulting, which is very black and white. Usually it's related with enterprise size clients, right? Big clients, or multinational companies where we provide strategies as to how they can navigate Amazon themselves with their e-commerce teams. And the
Mhm.
second being account management, where we're actually basically like their employees, acting on behalf of them, operating their Amazon accounts or their other e-commerce accounts that they're working on. And we do A through Z. And so those two core services, and we've expanded some new services this year, but has led to some pretty significant growth. And so I always tell people the reason why a lot of groups end up working with us, since we're out of Luxembourg, a lot of our company today is former Amazonians themselves. That's right next to the European headquarters, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So we're not just looking to create silly, let's say, theoretical strategies. We want to make sure we can create strategies that will work
Strategies that
well.
are grounded with experience,
Yeah, pragmatic, let's
yeah,
say.
pragmatic,
Yeah,
proven performance, probably data driven.
precisely. Yeah. So we have our data analyst in the company. We have our actual consultants who have worked with businesses and bringing about significant increases in their overall turnover or in their efficiency and their performance. And then our account management is really, and you know more better than me. Amazon is complicated and can be a pain, but really it's not any magic, right? It requires just time and consistency. And so account management is designed for companies who may not necessarily have the time to focus on Amazon, because it does require significant amount of time
Yeah,
to
you have to
navigate.
be married to this. You have to be married to and passionate about it. And I always kind of say this: you have to expect nothing and appreciate everything, and especially on the data side. You don't know what
Yeah,
you're gonna get. You experiment. You expect nothing. All of a sudden, you get something. You start to appreciate it. What does this mean? What does that mean? And you build that sauce, that formulas that are sustainable for you to keep, maintaining or growing your sales on the channel, and of course your profitability. There's so much that takes into it that it's really a professional game, and this is where you guys try to, I guess, to hone on to go deep into the weeds and roots of it to make it sustainable for your clients. So it's a long-term
precisely.
play. It's strategic. Obviously, it's operating on the highest levels on the most important platform, which is Amazon, but nevertheless still spread out to other platforms and identifying other opportunities on the e-commerce space beyond the Amazon level.
Yep, precisely. And we're really lucky. Obviously, as you know, in the market, there's at least hundreds of really good agencies, some that we're really good friends with that can do a really good job. And so we feel really lucky to work with our clients, because at the end of the day, like what translates to a successful e-commerce company, it's like having a good product, right? Like, is it a product people like? And so we feel really lucky to have the clients that we have and partners that we have, and for us to basically be the engine to operate it effectively for them on
You got
Amazon.
it.
But
You got it. On your end, though, sorry to cut you off.
yeah.
Did you kind of serve also the same purpose back when you did in Ozani and also the Mormon Church, where you tried to make him, evangelize these brands to say, hey, come into the e-commerce space and we can help you grow into that space? Is that something you also took focus on?
Yeah, so my role has been from the very beginning with Jerome a little bit of everything, primarily dedicated to client acquisition, right?
Hmm.
Again, I'm not, let's say, I detest people who try to convince people to do things that maybe they don't need. I
Right.
detest it. As you know, in Utah, another big sector of the economy is a lot of MLMs and multi-network marketing. So I detest this sort of notion of people selling a lifestyle, not necessarily practical solutions for their business or
Hmm.
their life. So for me, it's really just been focusing on brands who can clearly grow X amount with filling in certain gaps, either by optimizing their operations or optimizing their content to convert more consumer eyes, or optimizing their operations on the back end so they're more, let's say, cost effective
You're
ways of.
working with economy of scale with effectiveness. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So my role with e-commerce as business development director, of course, is client acquisition, but I have a lot more passion in seeing through success for my clients. Um, Peruvians, well, Latino, you've been to Miraflores, like we're very emotional people, and so one thing that,
The passion, the pasión.
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
so when I tell people I'm going to do something, I want to keep my word and I want to do it. And so, of course, we're not perfect. We've failed plenty of times. I have no doubt, but we do everything we can to keep our word, and so and to of course see through success with our clients. And so though I'm dedicated to client acquisition, I'm very involved with our account managers, our consultants, our data team to see through success at its highest levels with our clients, especially as we expand into new services and new sectors this year in 2021.
Gotcha. Okay, so I guess on a high level for e-commerce, you guys try to more appeal to European companies to start selling online in Europe and the US, or is there's also a side where you're trying to compel United States companies or American companies into selling online in the Amazon US or Amazon Europe or
Yeah, so naturally, because we are in Luxembourg, it's funny because I'm the guy with the American accent speaking for a Luxembourgish company, so it's like I got Jerome to come speak.
I
Yeah,
love this cosmopolitan approach. It's good. It's great.
yeah, no, but naturally we have a lot of European clients looking to grow in Europe, oftentimes in the US. And we come across like outside non-European companies looking to grow in Europe or other global marketplaces. But this year specifically, we've seen a huge need, especially with Brexit, right? The UK is such a significant part of the European economy. A lot of non-European economies that want to grow in Europe, they want to define a strategy on how to come into Europe. And so that's a gap we're looking to fill this year specifically, right? The rest is pretty simplistic. We'll help you grow in Europe if you already have logistics in place. other variables in place that are necessary. We know how to localize content for you. But for a lot of non-European businesses, if they're interested in growing in Europe today, it's like you don't have to go through distributors anymore. It's 2021. Like
Right. You go
just
direct.
take time to make a strategy direct to consumers. We'll help you out. We'll act like we're almost your employee in helping you define a strategy that will help you maximize your growth in Europe. And of course, we'll help you consider things like VAT, your logistics, the account management side, and making sure we have the proper expansion into the right countries, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes total sense. That's the way it should be done. All right, beautiful. So thank you so much, for sharing with us the story thus far, Al. So
Yeah,
let me try to catch and package it all together. It's kind of do a recap, right? So born 92, 98, you guys moved to the States, right? And then around 2011, 10, you start school in the Utah area. You go on a 6-year track between Utah, Denver, Spain. Where you get your degree, you get a mission. Also, you come to meet your future wife. And then 2016, you decide to settle in Germany on the outskirts of Basel in Switzerland. And then, your friends from the community, the Mormon community, then came knocking in your door with pretty much presenting you your future career, which is the world of e-commerce, right? They sweep you in. You work for Nozani for about 3 years, and from 2016 to 2019. You grew exponentially, with growing brand sales, everything that's around it. I taste a lot of success. Eventually, Nozani got bought out by Box Experts, a giant of in legend and its own merit. But from your communications and connection with Jerome, the founder of e-Comas, and your family needs to stay in the European scene, you decided to tag along with him, enter e-Commerce, and then you guys grew it from about 3 people to more than 50 today. A tremendous growth, almost 20 times or 20x. Did I get it right? That's pretty much
yeah, just under 50. I should say, just for fact checking.
just under
Yeah,
50.
yeah,
I got it.
I'm impressed, Yoni. It's like I can't remember what I had for breakfast today. That's like I'm impressed.
Yeah, that's my mission though. See, everybody, this is the keyword for this this whole episode is mission. This is my mission, to listen, to package it correctly, make sure that the essence is captured and is there.
Cool.
So I really appreciate the opportunity to learn and get to know you this way. All right, so now I want to touch the last part of the episode, where the first thing will be, if somebody wants to connect with you, learn more about you, where can they find you? But the last thing will be is, what is your message of hope and inspiration for entrepreneurs listening out there?
So to find us, it's really simple, really easy. People can go to or dash Comas, COM like mom, AS.com. Check us out. There's really nice, simplistic, very Scandinavian, so very minimalistic information.
And it's in English, and I think also on the other languages, right? It's
yeah, I think we have 4 languages now. Nice. So the CEO is French, half British, of course, French and British. I speak Spanish. Our COO is Swiss. So she, of course, comes from a French and German background. So all the European languages, the main ones should be covered there. So visit us there. You can also email me directly if you wish. And if you have any inquiries into how to grow in Europe, at a.lopez@e-comas.com. So those are 2 easiest way to get in contact with us. And as far as your last question, you want to remind me, please.
What is your message of hope and inspiration for entrepreneurs listening out there?
Yeah. I come from a father who gave up quite literally every comfort in his life as a civil engineer working for a very good Western company in Peru. And he's always told me, make goals in your life. You don't know if those goals will come to fruition, but what you can control is your commitments. So if you're a startup, if you're an entrepreneur, you have goals to grow X amount, to affect people in Y manner. You don't necessarily know if you'll be able to actually bring to pass those different goals, but what you most definitely can control is your commitments to get to those goals. So keep your commitments 100%. You can control that. That's my only message, is keep it.
You got it. Right, so have a mission, make this mission your commitment, and keep at it, keep the focus, keep the push, and you're probably going to achieve great things. Beautiful, I love that. All right, so Al, thank you so much. I hope everybody enjoyed this episode. Thank you for listening.
Thank you,
stay safe and healthy out there. Until next time, everybody, take care.
Ciao, everyone.